You started broadcasting it. You started broadcasting it live. Okay. Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari. Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari. Gopi Janavallabha. Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana. Yashodana Brajajanaranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana. Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunati Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunati Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Radha Madhava. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopal Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Jai Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radhe Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Mahaprabhu 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 Jaya Mahaprabhu Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jai Shri Prabhupada ki. So we'll read the Mangalacharan before starting today's session on the story of Narada Muni. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Nilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripri Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhe Evacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So today we'll be discussing from the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam titled The Story of Narada Muni. So So just to give a little bit of a background. So this story is actually described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the Bhagavad Purana. And the context is set such that Srila Vyasadeva, or Vedavyas, is actually dissatisfied or a little bit despondent even after compiling the 4 Vedas and all the Itihasas and Puranas and all the corollary Vedic literatures. So he is still dissatisfied. At that point, Narada Muni appears before him, and then he explains the reason as to why he is not satisfied and feeling a little despondent. And then so Narada Muni, along with the instructions that he is giving in this chapter, he also relates how he actually became the devotee that he is. In fact, in the previous life, he was actually in a very simple situation, which is he was actually a son of a servant maid. And just to show the glory of devotional service, just to show how potent and how wonderful is devotional service, and so Narada Muni actually tells his story. And so this is from the first canto, the 5th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And then he also continues in a more detailed description, the 6th chapter, which is the next chapter. Here he just gives a brief synopsis in the 5th chapter, but then later, the 6th chapter, Vedavyas again asks Narada Muni for more information as to how he became a devotee and how he was able to see the Lord and so on and so forth. So this is 1.5:23. So this is Narada Muni actually telling to Vedavyas. So I'll just read the Sanskrit and then translation and maybe purport, and then we can have some discussion. Aham puratita bhava abhavam muni dasyastu kashyashchana vedavadinam niruppito balaka eva yoginam shushushani pravrishi nirvivikshatam. So Narada Muni says to Vyasadeva, O Muni, in the last millennium I was born as the son of a certain maid servant engaged in the service of Brahmanas who were following the principles of Vedanta. When they were living together during the 4 months of rainy season, I was engaged in their personal service. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The wonder of an atmosphere surcharged with devotional service to the Lord is briefly described herein by Sri Narada Muni. He was the son of the most insignificant parentage. He was not properly educated, still because his complete energy was engaged in the service of the Lord, he became an immortal sage. Such is the powerful action of devotional service. The living entities are the margin energy of the Lord, and therefore they are meant for being properly utilized in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. When this is not done, one situation is called Maya. Therefore, the illusion of Maya is at once dissipated as soon as one's full energy is converted in the service of the Lord instead of in sense enjoyment. From the personal example of Sri Narada Muni, in his previous birth, it is clear that the service of the Lord begins with the service of the Lord's bona fide servants. The Lord says that the service of his servant is greater than his personal service. Service of the devotees is more valuable than the service of the Lord. One should therefore choose a bona fide servant of the Lord, constantly engaged in his service, accept such a servant as a spiritual master, and engage himself in the spiritual master's service. Such a spiritual master is a transparent medium by which to visualize the Lord, who is beyond the conception of material senses. By service to the bona fides of the bona fide spiritual master, the Lord consents to reveal himself in proportion to the service rendered. Utilization of the human energy in the service of the Lord is a progressive path of salvation. The whole cosmic creation becomes at once identical with the Lord as soon as service and relation with the Lord is rendered under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. The expert spiritual master knows the art of utilizing everything to glorify the Lord, and therefore under his guidance the whole world can be turned into a spiritual abode by the divine grace of the Lord's servant. It's a beautiful purport here. Of course, Narada Muni is saying that, in the last millennium, I was born as the son of a certain maid servant engaged in the service of Brahmanas who were following the principles of Vedanta. When they were living together during the 4 months of the rainy season, I was engaged in their personal service. So, Narada Muni was the son of a maid servant, and they were, living, in somewhere, just in the outskirts of the city. And because of good fortune, he was able to engage in the service of the Brahmanas or the Vedantists. And due to this reason, he was able to perform some devotional service, some service to them, some seva, actually. And because he was submissive and he did some sevas to the Vedantas, what happened in reciprocation, Krishna actually bestowed him the greatest benediction of pure devotion to him. So as I explained in the purport by Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada here glorifies how the service of the devotee is more valuable than the service to the Lord himself directly. In fact, in the Shastra, Krishna says that, one who actually claims to be my devotee is actually not my devotee, but one who claims that he is my devotee's devotee is actually my devotee. So, so Krishna gives his heart to the devotees, and the devotee they give their heart to Krishna. So Krishna becomes indebted to devotees, and especially pure devotees. And when we render service to the pure devotees of the Lord, then Krishna becomes very pleased with our service towards pure Vaishnavas like that. And the same goes, when we serve devotees, Krishna becomes pleased. But when we are envious of devotees, then Krishna becomes displeased. And you can see that in the story of the Mahabharata, where Duryodhana was actually envious of Yudhishthira and the Pandavas in general. And because of that, the Lord, he in fact invited Lord Krishna to his palace for a big feast, but the Lord instead went to Vidra's place to have his, prasad. So the Lord can be easily pleased by rendering services to his pure devotees. That's an easy way to connect to the Lord. In fact, there was one conversation where, in the initial days of the ISKCON movement, where there were, people, when Prabhupada came alone to the West, and there were practically nobody with him, and he started the movement single-handedly. He started with chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra on the Thompson Square Park, and he used to, have a small center, and all the, especially, many of the people who would frequent and visit him were hippies or from the hippie culture. But because of the association with Srila Prabhupada, they all became Vaishnava saints. So once in India, Prabhupada was asked, Prabhupada, can you show some magic? Because generally you have the tendency, if there are any spiritual guru, then we expect them to show some magic, like bringing ashes, from nothing and stuff like that. So Prabhupada said, actually, the real magic that I have done is that I have turned these hippies into happies. So that is the real magic. But because of the association of Srila Prabhupada, actually they were able to give up all their sinful tendencies, and they were able to become pure Vaishnavas. And we can see how Narada Muni's story is, it comes from a simple background, but still, because of the service to the Vedantas, he was able to get the ultimate mercy of the Lord. And the Lord revealed himself to Narada Muni for that service. And of course, this is also something that's related to what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, Tadviddhi pranipatena pariprakshnena sevaya upadekshanti de jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. So this is another famous verse from the Bhagavad Gita itself, where Lord Krishna says, "Let us try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him." The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. So here Krishna recommends that one should approach a bona fide spiritual master, and he basically says three things that are required. One is submissiveness, and inquiry, and service. So when one approaches a spiritual master like that, then the spiritual master or the self-realized soul would actually impart that knowledge to the disciple. And in fact, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is also another verse which says, Sadhu Sangha Sharva Shastra Koi, Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha Sarva Siddhi Hoi. Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha. Lava Matra means that's 1/12 of a second. So even if one gets an association of a devotee, or once renders some service, even for that insignificant amount of time, even if one gets association of devotee, he may attain all perfection in life. So by the association of devotees, especially pure devotees, one makes a lot of advancement on the spiritual path. So I'll read the next verse. Text 24. Translation. Although they were impartial by nature, those followers of the Vedanta blessed me with their causeless mercy. As far as I was concerned, I was self-controlled and had no attachment for sports, even though I was a boy. In addition, I was not naughty, and I did not speak more than required. So there is an Narada Muni telling about how he was self-controlled, even though he was a small boy at that time. And he served those followers of the Vedanta, all Vedantas, Bhakti Vedantas. Purport. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord says, all the Vedas are searching after me. Lord Sri Chaitanya says that in the Vedas, the subject matters are only three, namely to establish the relation of the living entities with the personality of Godhead, perform the relative duties in devotional service, and thus achieve the ultimate goal back to Godhead. This is Sambandha, Abhidya and Prayojana. These are the three broad categories of the subject matters in the Vedas. As such, Vedantavadis or the followers of the Vedanta indicate the pure devotees of the personality of Godhead. Such Vedantavadis or Bhakti Vedantas are impartial in distributing the transcendental knowledge of devotional service. To them, no one is enemy or friend. No one is educated or uneducated. No one is especially favorable and no one is unfavorable. The Bhakti Vedantas see that the people in general are wasting time in false, sensuous things. Their business is to get the important ignorant mass of people to re-establish the lost relationship with the personality of Godhead. By such endeavor, even the most forgotten soul is roused up to the sense of spiritual life, and thus being initiated by the Bhakti Vedantas, the people in general gradually progress on the path of transcendental realization. So the Vedantavadis initiated the boy even before he became self-controlled and was detached from childish sporting, etc. But before the initiation, the boy, became more and more advanced in discipline, which is very essential for one who wishes to make progress in the line. In the system of Varnashram Dharma, which is the beginning of the actual human life, small boys after 5 years of age are sent to become brahmacharis at the Guru Shashrama, where these things are systematically taught to every boy, be he a king's son or the son of an ordinary citizen. The training was compulsory not only to create good citizens of the state, but also to prepare the boy's future life for spiritual realization. The irresponsible life of sense enjoyment was unknown to the children of follower of Varnashram system. A boy was even injected with spiritual acumen before being placed by the father in the womb of the mother. Both the father and mother were responsible for the boy's success in being liberated from material bondage. This is the process of successful family planning. It is to beget children for complete perfection. Without being self-controlled, without being disciplined, and without being fully obedient, no one can become successful in following the instruction of the spiritual master. And without doing so, no one is able to go back to Godhead. A lot of beautiful points in the purport that Srila Prabhupada has elucidated. He's basically talking about how the Bhakti Vedantas were very merciful and compassionate, and they were because of the service attitude of Narada Muni as the son of a maid servant, they were very heartfully actually bestowing their mercy upon him. And so Prabhupada says in the purport that how actually the devotees they don't care for whether this person is from a rich background or this person is from a poor background, or as if they see some innocence and some mood of acceptance, then they readily give whatever is there within their heart. They're ready to share the good fortune with other people. And of course, Prabhupada, he has made so many other nice points. Any reflections on the purport that we just read that struck to you? You can use the mic. We can use the mic.
So what really is standing out is this last statement without being self-controlled, without being disciplined, and without being fully obedient, no one can become successful in following the instructions of the spiritual master. And without doing so, no one is able to go back to Godhead. So although, as you were reading, Narada Muni got the mercy of these Bhaktivedantas, but he himself was not frivolous. So that was his qualification. So he was not, playful or frivolous. He was also serious. So
nice point, Prabhu.
it takes... I'm thinking, just reflecting, how much it is applicable for in my life. So,
right. To be successful in any discipline, one needs some amount of, or to be successful in any field, there is some amount of self-control and discipline and required. But so much so for even in spiritual life and obedience. Prabhupada, in fact, the word disciple, I think, comes from the word discipline. Or they have the same common Latin root, actually, discipline and disciple. All right. Any other reflection that's stuck with you as we read the purport? Okay, we'll move on. Text 25. Once only by their permission I took the remnants of the food, and by doing so all my sins were at once eradicated. Thus being engaged, I became purified in heart. And at that time, the very nature of the transcendentalist became attractive to me. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Pure devotion is as much infectious in a good sense as infectious disease. A pure devotee is cleared from all kinds of sins. The personality of Godhead is purest entity, and unless one is equally pure from the infection of material qualities, one cannot become a pure devotee of the Lord. So what did Narada Muni do? Narada Muni, once after, with the permission of the Bhaktivedantas, because he was serving them, he took the permission to actually take the remnants of the food that they had eaten. And because of his service and pleasing them, Narada Muni actually asked them to, the Bhaktivedantas actually asked, they gave permission for them to partake the remnants. And this is one of the potent, this is one of the potent way to actually purify, as we will read in the purport. The Bhaktivedantas, as above mentioned, were pure devotees, and the boy became infected with their qualities of purity by their association and by eating once the remnants of the foodstuff taken by them. Such remnants may be taken even without permission of the pure devotees. There are sometimes pseudo devotees, and one should be very much cautious about them. There are many things which hinder one from entering the devotional service, but by the association of pure devotees, all these obstacles are removed. The neophyte devotee becomes practically enriched with the transcendental qualities of pure devotees, which means attraction for the personality of Godhead's name, fame, qualities, pastime, etc. Infection of the qualities of the pure devotee means to imbibe the taste of pure devotion always in the transcendental activities of the personality of Godhead. This transcendental taste at once makes all material things distasteful. Therefore, a pure devotee is not at all attracted by material activities. After the elimination of all sins or obstacles on the path of devotional service, one can become attracted. One can have steadiness, one can have perfect taste, one can have transcendental emotions. At last, one can be situated on the plane of loving service of the Lord. All these stages developed by association of pure devotees, and that is the purport of his stanza. Yeah, it is said that the dust from the lotus feet of a pure devotee, and then the remnants of the food that they take, and association and service to them, all are actually potent service, and they eradicate, they purify our heart actually. They eradicate all the sins from our heart. Text 26. O Vyasadeva, in their association and by the mercy of those great Vedantas, I could hear them describe the attractive activities of Lord Krishna, and thus listening attentively, my taste for hearing of the personality of Godhead increased at every step. Purport. Lord Krishna, the absolute personality of Godhead, is attractive not only in his personal features but also in his transcendental activities. It is so because the absolute is absolute by his name, fame, form, pastimes, entourage and paraphernalia. The Lord descends to this material world out of his causeless mercy and displays his various transcendental pastimes as a human being, so that human beings attracted towards him become able to go back to Godhead. Men are naturally apt to hear histories and narration of various personalities performing mundane activities without knowing that by such association one simply wastes valuable time and also becomes addicted to the three qualities of mundane nature. Instead of wasting time, one can get spiritual success by turning his attention to the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. By hearing the narration of the pastimes of the Lord, one contacts directly the personality of Godhead. And as explained before, by hearing about the personality of Godhead from within, all accumulated sins of the mundane creature are cleared. Thus, being cleared of all sins, the hearer gradually becomes liberated from the mundane association and becomes attracted to the features of the Lord. Narada Muni has just explained this by his personal experience. The whole idea is that simply by hearing about the Lord's pastimes, one can become one of the associates of the Lord. Narada Muni has eternal life, unlimited knowledge and unfathomed bliss, and he can travel all over the material and spiritual worlds without restriction. One can attain to the highest perfection of life simply by attentive hearing of the transcendental pastimes of the Lord from the right sources, as Sri Narada heard them from the pure devotees in his previous life. This process of hearing in the association of devotees is especially recommended in this age of quarrel Kali. So there are 9 processes of devotional service. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnus, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dhyasyam, Sakyam, and then Atmanivedam. So there are 9 types of devotional service. So out of which the first 2 are Shravanam and Kirtanam, hearing and chanting. So, by hearing about the Lord from bona fide authorities or pure devotees of the Lord, then one's heart is transformed. One's heart is transformed by that sound, transcendental sound vibration about the pastimes of Lord Krishna. And one becomes attracted to Krishna slowly and gradually. And automatically, when the attraction for Krishna increases in one's heart, then automatically one loses taste for material things. So, we can, if we, spend our time in listening to mundane, sound, vibration, or, as Srila Prabhupada says here about great historians, about subject matters which are pretty mundane in nature. If we invest our time in those kind of activities, what is going to come out is that our hearts are going to be attracted to that kind of subject matter, which is, it can be like, any mundane subject matter, entertainment, mundane entertainment, or sports, or mundane literature, or news, and so on and so forth. So how we are ready to invest our time. Correspondingly, the appropriate effect will happen in our heart. But the same, the same propensity to hear, the same propensity to read, the same propensity to read literature, to know about historical facts, to know about, all these different items, if we actually dovetail it in the service of the Lord, as hearing about the glories of the Lord, hearing about the pastimes of the Lord, and chanting His holy name, and so on and so forth. So what happens is, we naturally get attracted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And elsewhere in the Bhagavatam it is also said, Shrinvata Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Hriyantasto hi Abhadrani Vidinoti Surutsatam. So in the Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna says this to Arjuna. Krishna tells Arjuna, Tat Shrinu, hear from me. So this hearing is a very important process of actually cultivating Krishna consciousness or devotion to Lord Krishna. So here you can see in the 7th chapter, 1st verse, the Supreme Personality of God had said, now hear, O son of Pritha, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. So here it says, Krishna says, now hear, O son of Pritha. Of course, hearing doesn't mean that you hear from one ear and then let it go through the other ear. Hearing actually means taking it into our heart and following it and submitting to it. So that is the real meaning of hearing. So Narada Muni was fortunate actually to hear. He was very submissive and he was very simple, and he was not frivolous, as we read in Prabhupada's purport, and he was self-controlled. So with all these good qualities, he was able to completely absorb himself in hearing about Lord Krishna, his message from the Bhaktivedantas. And there is also another verse in the Bhagavatam which says how one can actually awaken the taste for hearing the message of Krishna. Does somebody know what? Yeah, that is one reference. But how to even get? There's one more reference actually I'm thinking about.
You get a taste of hearing, right? That's the one.
Right. Yeah, it says Shushusho Shraddhanasya Vasudeva Katarachihi. So how do you know which verse it is? Yeah, by serving those devotees. So how do we get affinity for hearing about the message of Krishna? And you can see this verse, Shushusho Shraddhanasya Vasudeva Kataruchihi Shyan Mahat Seveya Vipra Punyan Tirtha Nishevanat. It says, O twice born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely freed from all vice, great service is done. And by such service, one gains affinity for hearing the message of Vasudeva, of Krishna. So Prabhupada writes that, I'll just read one section of the purport. No, the servants of God come to propagate God consciousness, and the intelligent people should cooperate with them in every respect. By serving the servant of God, one can please God more than by directly serving the Lord. The Lord is more pleased when he sees that his servants are properly respected, because such servants risk everything for the service of the Lord and so are very dear to the Lord. The Lord declares in the Bhagavad Gita that no one is dearer to him than one who risks everything to preach his glory. By serving the servants of the Lord, one gradually gets the quality of such servants, and thus one becomes qualified to hear about the glories of the Lord, of God. The eagerness to hear about God is the first qualification of a devotee eligible for entering the kingdom of God. So this is the secret of how we can actually increase our taste for hearing Krishna Katha. That is by serving a pure devotee of the Lord, and by serving and pleasing them, actually the Lord the Lord actually reveals himself, and we also get purified. This is exactly the, if you see the story of Narada Muni, this is exactly the method he follows. First he serves the Bhakti Vedantas, and then by serving them with a simple heart and without any expectation and just to please them, he pleases them immensely, and then they allow him to partake the remnants of the food that they ate, and then following that he slowly, gradually developed interest in the discussions that they were having about glorification of the Lord. And slowly it became so intense that he actually wanted to be like them. So it all starts from so Krishna opens himself to us more and more as we try to please his devotees. Right. So here, of course, Prabhupada gives a summary of these verses. He says, the Srimad Bhagavatam, this process of understanding Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth is described in the second chapter of the first canto as follows. Srimata Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Hridayantasto hi abhadrani vidunoti sarutatam nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavati uttama sloke bhaktir bhavati naishviki tada rajas tamo bhava kama lobhadayasche cheta etir anaviddam stitvam sattva prasidati evam prasanna manaso bhagavad bhakti yogataha bhagavad tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate bidate hridaya krantis chidyante sarva samshayaha shiyanti shashya karmani drishta evatmana ishvaraha. To hear about Krishna from Vedic literature or to hear from him directly through the Bhagavad Gita is itself righteous activity. And for one who hears about Krishna, Lord Krishna, who is dwelling in everyone's heart, acts as a best wishing friend and purifies the devotee who constantly engages in hearing of him. So this is how the process happens actually. So when we hear about Krishna from authoritative sources and from a pure devotee, Krishna becomes very pleased when there is submissive hearing. Submissive hearing means we are allowing Krishna into our heart. So Krishna from within the heart, he purifies whatever contamination we have and acts as our best well-wishing friend. In this way, a devotee naturally develops his dormant transcendental knowledge. As he hears more about Krishna from the Bhagavatam and from the devotees, he becomes fixed in devotional service of the Lord. By development of devotional service, one becomes freed from the modes of passion and ignorance, and thus material lust and avarice are diminished. So these are the symptoms. When one continues to hear, his pastime, his instruction, his message, and his holy name of the Lord, these are the different symptoms which manifest, which is one becomes freed from mode of passion and ignorance, and which are manifested as lust and greed and anger. So all these things are slowly diminished from our lives. When these impurities are wiped away, the candidate remains steady in the position of pure goodness, becomes enlivened by devotional service, and understands the science of God perfectly. Thus, Bhakti Yoga severes the heart knot of material affection and enables one to come at once to the stage of Ashamshayam Samagram, understanding of the supreme absolute truth, personality of Godhead. Therefore, only by hearing from Krishna or from his devotee in Krishna consciousness, one can understand the signs of Krishna. So, yeah, where did I leave? I think, yeah. Did we finish this purport? Reading this purport? Anyway, let me read this. Instead of wasting time, one can get spiritual success by turning his attention to the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. By hearing the narration of the pastimes of the Lord, one contacts directly the personality of Godhead. And as explained before, by hearing about the personality of Godhead from within, all accumulated sins of the mundane creature are cleared. Thus, being cleared of all sins, the hearer gradually becomes liberated from mundane association and becomes attracted to the feature of the Lord. Narada Muni has just explained this by his personal experience. The whole idea is that simply by hearing about the Lord's pastimes, one can become one of the associates of the Lord. The only thing that is required is submissiveness and surrender to hearing about the message of the Lord and to take in. Narada Muni has eternal life, unlimited knowledge and unfathomable bliss, and he can travel all over the material and spiritual worlds without restriction. One can attain to the highest perfection of life simply by attentive hearing of the transcendental pastimes of the Lord from the right source, as Sri Narada heard them from the pure devotees in his previous life. This process of hearing in the association of devotees is especially recommended in the age of Quarrel Kali. Like Prabhupada used to say that how we can be in touch with the outside material world through sound. You hear the news, or of course now there is TV and everything. You have a visual effect also, but generally we can keep in touch with the outside world, or people who are far off through the medium of sound. Similarly, we can actually associate with the Supreme Lord also through the medium of sound, transcendental vibration, and can personally associate with the Lord by chanting His holy name, which are transcendental sound vibration, and also through the description in the Vedic in the scriptures such as Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, and we can connect with the Lord through this sound vibration. Like how you can connect to the outside material world through sound vibration, similarly we can also connect to the Lord and the spiritual world through the spiritual sound vibration. That is the potency of sound. Text 27. Narada Muni continues, O great sage, as soon as I got a taste of the personality of Godhead, my attention to hear of the Lord was unflinching. And my taste developed, I could realize that it was only in my ignorance that I had accepted gross and subtle coverings for both the Lord and I are transcendental. What we just read is what Narada Muni is explaining, what, Nashta Prayasho Baidareshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. So when we serve Bhagavatam, either the person Bhagavata or the book Bhagavata, then Nashta Prayasho Baidareshu, all the unwanted things or anarthas from the heart are cleared. Because Krishna is the well-wishing friend, He actually clears the mist of ignorance from within our heart. So when the ignorance is lifted, the mist of ignorance is lifted, then automatically one's true self as the Jivatma, becomes fully manifest, and also our relationship with the Supreme Lord. So as Narada Muni is saying here that, his taste actually developed and it became fixed. So this is one of the stages actually. There are, Rupa Goswami explains many stages. He says, Adav Shraddha, Tata Sadhu Sangha, Tata Bhajana Kriya, Shyad Anartha Nivarti. So he discusses many stages actually before coming to prema or full-blown love of God. So, first one starts with a little bit of faith, and then he invests that in sadhu sangha, in the association of devotees. And then there is automatically bhajana kriya. There is chanting and hearing, and one comes in the association of devotees, then automatically there is chanting, hearing, kirtan, and so on and so forth. Due to which there is anartha-nivritti, all the unwanted things from the heart gets cleared actually. And then there is nishtha, one who gets steady. And then there is asakti, one gets a taste. And then there is what is that? Yeah, sorry, it's nishtha, and then after that ruchi, and then asakti, and then bhava, and then prema. So this is the the complete ladder, all the way up to prema. So after anartha-nivritti is nishtha, one becomes steady in devotional service, and that's a symptom of madhyamadhikari. And after that, one gets ruchi, taste, and then there is asakti, there is strong attachment and taste. Purport: ignorance and material existence is compared to darkness, and in all Vedic literature, the personality of Godhead is compared to the sun. Wherever there is light, there cannot be darkness. Hearing of the Lord's pastime is itself transcendental association with the Lord, because there is no difference between the Lord and His transcendental pastimes. To become associated with the supreme light is to dissipate all darkness, all ignorance. By ignorance only, the conditioned soul wrongly thinks that he and the Lord are products of material nature. But in fact, the personality of Godhead and the living beings are transcendental, and they have nothing to do with the material nature. When ignorance is removed and it is perfectly realized, then there is nothing existing without the personality of Godhead. Then nescience is removed. Since the gross and the subtle bodies are emanation from the personality of Godhead, the knowledge of light permits one to engage both of them in the service of the Lord. The gross body should be engaged in acts of rendering service to the Lord, as in bringing water, cleansing the temple, or making obeisances, etc. The path of Archana, or worshipping the Lord in the temple, involves engaging one's gross body in the service of the Lord. Similarly, the subtle mind should be engaged in hearing the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, thinking about them, chanting His name, etc. All such activities are transcendental. So there are different activities given for Prabhupada. Here is talking, Srila Prabhupada is talking about how we can spiritualize our material gross and subtle bodies, and he's giving some practical tips as to how to engage one's gross body in the service of the Lord. And one can also, by practical service, as an example he gives, like bringing water, cleansing the temple, paying obeisances, and so on and so forth. And a subtle body, which is comprised of the mind, intelligence, and false ego, can also be utilized in the service of the Lord. One way to do it is to fix the mind and engaged in the hearing the holy name of the Lord. Or one can fix the mind. The mind can become absorbed in chanting, or in listening to the pastimes of the Lord. That way, the subtle body can also be engaged in the service of the Lord. Such realization of transcendental activities is made possible by many years of apprenticeship in devotional service, but simply by attraction of love for the personality of Godhead, as it was developed in Narada Muni, by hearing is highly effective. Actually, what Narada Muni is getting and what we are all getting is a kind of an elevator process. If you want to reach the top of a building, there are two ways to go about it. You can go through the staircase, step by step, and then reach all the way to the top of the building. Another way is you can actually take an elevator, and then it just goes zoom to the top of the building. So, by associating with the pure devotees of the Lord and by hearing from them, actually we are all taking a shortcut. Otherwise, it will take many lifetimes for us to actually slowly come to the platform of actually developing attraction for Krishna, or even knowing about Krishna. Krishna says, Bahunam janmanam ante jnanaman mam prabhadyate vasudevam sarvamiti samahatma sudarlabhaha. He says, Bahunam janmanam ante, after many births, a person in complete knowledge actually knows that Vasudeva sarvamiti, that I am Vasudeva is everything. So that happens only after many births of realization, coming to perfection of knowledge. But because of the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the whole parampara, and Srila Prabhupada, we are being given this knowledge just like that. This knowledge of Krishna. Of course, the another verse is also, in the 7th chapter, Krishna says, it's not so easy to understand about him. If I know what it was. No. Manushyanam sahasreshu kashyat yatade siddhaye yatamapi siddhanam kashyan mamve. So Krishna says it's very difficult to understand about him. And in 10th chapter also he says, Na me vidusuragana. He says neither the sages nor the demigods truly understand about his glory. So, but how Narada Muni is getting here is simply by hearing and by serving the devotees, and just by being submissive, he is able to get all the perfection that the Bhakti Vedantists have attained just in a matter of some time, just by the association. So similarly, we are also given all of us have been given the good fortune of association with Srila Prabhupada through his books and also his disciples all over the world, and we can take advantage of that. Text 28. Thus, during 2 seasons, the rainy season and autumn, I had the opportunity to hear these great soul sages constantly chant the unadulterated glories of the Lord Hari. As the flow of my devotional service began, the coverings of the mode of passion and ignorance vanished. You can see exactly the flow, as in the 2nd chapter of the, Bhagavatam here actually, as Narada Muni is taking more and more to devotional services, the coverings of mode of passion and ignorance disappears. Do you want to read the purport? You can use the mic and you can read the purport. Sorry, what's your name?
Transcendental loving service for the Supreme Lord is the natural inclination of every living being. The instinct is dormant in everyone, but due to the association of material nature, the modes of passion and ignorance cover this from time immemorial. If by the grace of the Lord and the great-souled devotees of the Lord, a living being becomes fortunate enough to associate with the unadulterated devotees of the Lord and gets a chance to hear the unadulterated glories of the Lord, certainly the flow of devotional service takes place like the flow of a river. As the river flows on till she reaches the sea, similarly the pure devotional service flows by the association of a pure devotees till it reaches the ultimate goal, namely transcendental love of God. Such a flow of devotional service cannot stop. On the contrary, it increases more and more without limitation. The flow of devotional service is so potent that any onlooker also becomes liberated from the influence of the modes of passion and ignorance. These two qualities of nature are thus removed, and the living being is liberated, being situated in his original position.
Right. We'll just take a minute or two and see if there are any, reflections or any point that you like from this purport or what we discussed so far. Any questions?
I remember the Anya Bilashita Shunya. I don't know the complete words. Basically, unalloyed devotional service without any motivation. That's the most important thing. to render the devotion service. Because in this age of Kali, we always, for everything, we want an exchange. But Rupa Goswami says, okay, do the exchange, but it's in a loving exchange rather than any other exchange.
Right.
So that's most important for all of us. Even how do you, for example, controlling the senses, right? Even the controlling the senses, if you control the senses, that means you will increase your resources. If you don't control your senses, you can increase your loan. That's the word I heard from Govind Prabhu. That was very amazing. So it's always a kind of a business what we are doing in our material life, rather than dovetail it in exchange with the Lord. All the services. In that case, at least we can one day at least purify our senses.
Right. Nice point. Any other points? Yeah. Can you give the mic to someone?
I liked Hare Krishna Prabhu. I really liked the point where it said, like a river flows until it gets to the ocean. Our devotional service and hard work to please the Lord and be the servant of the Lord until we reach the ultimate goal. I really liked that analogy. It was very it was really realistic, and I really connected to that.
Nice point. So we'll on text 29. I was very much. You had a point? Did you have a point? I was very much attached to those sages. I was gentle in behavior, and all my sins were eradicated in their service. In my heart, I had strong faith in them. I had subjugated the senses, and I was strictly following them with body and mind. So this is what association does, actually. It certainly brings us to higher stages of discipline, and that's why you can see the effect that Narada Muni, he was able to subjugate just by their association, all the sins were eradicated in the heart. And once the sins are eradicated in the heart, the strong faith comes out. And with the strong faith, one actually, subjugates his senses and strictly follows, them with the body and mind. Purport. These are necessary qualification of a prospective candidate who can expect to be elevated to the position of a pure, unadulterated devotee. Such a candidate must always seek the association of pure devotees. One should not be misled by a pseudo-devotee. He himself must be plain and gentle to receive the instruction of such a pure devotee. A pure devotee is a complete surrendered soul unto the personality of Godhead. He knows the personality of Godhead as the supreme proprietor and all others as his servitors. And by the association of pure devotees only, one can get rid of all sins accumulated by mundane association. A neophyte devotee must faithfully serve the pure devotee, and he should be very, very much obedient and strictly follow the instructions. These are the signs of a devotee who is determined to achieve success even in the existing duration of life. And generally we talk about, qualifications of a guru. Actually, these are the qualifications of a disciple. Or, where, the subjugation of senses, and Srila Prabhupada says that he should very much obedient and strictly follow the instruction. And faithfully serve the pure devotee. So in this line, Prabhupada says a neophyte must faithfully serve the pure devotee, and he should be very obedient and strictly follow the instructions. So these are, kind of the instruction for a practicing devotee, a neophyte devotee, where he can try to implement some of these things, being obedient and strictly following the instruction, and faithfully serving the pure devotee. Then one would automatically see, the trajectory of on the spiritual path, actually towards success or perfection. So it's a two-way. It's a two-way thing, actually. The relationship between guru and disciple is a two-way street. And as much as the Guru, needs to be on the high pedestal, and the disciple also will only progress when he is submissive and when he wants to follow the instruction of the Guru and serve and please the Guru. Text 30. As they were living, those Bhaktivedantas who are very kind to poor-hearted soul instructed me in the most confidential subject, which is instructed by the personality of Godhead Himself. Purport. A pure Vedantist or Bhaktivedanta instructor instructs followers exactly according to the instruction of the Lord Himself. The personality of Godhead, both in the Bhagavad Gita and in all other scriptures, has definitely instructed men to follow the Lord only. The Lord is the creator, maintainer, annihilator of everything. The whole manifested creation is existing by His will, and by His will, when the whole show is finished, He'll remain in His eternal abode with all His paraphernalia. Before the creation, He was there in the eternal abode, and after the annihilation, He'll continue to remain. He is not, therefore, one of the created beings. He is transcendental. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that long before the instruction was imparted to Arjuna, the same was instructed to the Sun God. And in course of time, the same instruction being wrongly handled and being broken was again instructed to Arjuna because he was his perfect devotee and friend. Therefore, the instruction of the Lord can be understood by the devotees only and no one else. The impersonalist who has no idea of the transcendental form of the Lord cannot understand this most confidential message of the Lord. The expression most confidential is significant here because knowledge of the devotional service is far, far above knowledge of the impersonal Brahman. Jnanam means ordinary knowledge or any branch of knowledge. This knowledge develops up to the knowledge of impersonal Brahman. Above this, when it is partially mixed with devotion, such knowledge develops to knowledge of Paramatma or all-pervading Godhead. This is more confidential. But when such knowledge is turned into pure devotional service and the confidential part of the transcendental knowledge is attained, it is called the most confidential knowledge. This most confidential knowledge was imparted to the Lord, by the Lord, to Brahma, Arjuna, Uddhava, etc. Yeah, so I think because here Narada Muni is saying that the most confidential subject matters, the Bhaktivedantas actually instructed him in the most confidential subject matter. So Prabhupada is actually giving which is the most confidential subject matter. Knowledge of Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. Out of the three, the most confidential is the knowledge of Bhagavan. And this is also given in the Bhagavad Gita actually, where Krishna categorizes, he says first Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma, he talks about the platform of Brahman, and then he says, let me give you some more confidential knowledge, and then he says, Brahmayan Sarva 18th chapter actually. What is that verse? The Jiva is situated on the on the machine made out of the material energy. You don't know. Yeah, 1861. Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hriddeshu Arjuna Tishtati Brahmayan Sarva Bhutani Yantararani Maya. Krishna says the Supreme Lord is situated in the everyone's heart of Arjuna and is directing the wandering of all living entities who are seated on a machine made of material energy. So this is about the Paramatma. Lord Krishna discusses this to Arjuna, which is more confidential than the Brahman, knowledge of Brahman. And finally he says, Manmana Bhava Mad Bhakto Madhyajinam Namaskaro, and then Sarva Dharman Parityaja. So that is even more confidential than this knowledge. So Srila Prabhupada, that's what Srila Prabhupada is saying here, that the most confidential knowledge is the knowledge of the Bhagavan. Text 60. Text 31. By that confidential knowledge, I could understand clearly the influence of the energy of Lord Krishna, the creator, maintainer, annihilator of everything. By knowing that, one can return to him and personally meet him. I'll skip this purport and then we'll have to go. Text 32. O Brahmana Vyasadeva, it is decided by the learned that the best remedial measure for removing all troubles and miseries is to dedicate one's activities to the service of the Supreme Lord, Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. So Narada Muni continues with more instructions in this verse, but again in the next chapter in 1.6, first canto, 6th chapter, he due to a question by Vyasadeva, Narada Muni again in much more detailed fashion actually tells about his story. So we'll just quickly read some of those verses. Text 1. Sutta said, O Brahmanas, thus hearing all about Narada, Sri Narada's birth and activities, Vyasadeva, the incarnation of God and son of Satyavati, inquired as follows. Purport: Vyasadeva was further inquisitive to know about the perfection of Naraji, and therefore he wanted to know about him more and more. In this chapter, Naraji will describe how he was able to have a brief audience with the Lord while he was absorbed in the transcendental thought of separation from the Lord, and when it was very painful for him. Text 2. Shri Vyasadeva said, what did you, Narada, do after the departure of the great sages who had instructed you in scientific transcendental knowledge before the beginning of your present birth? Purport: Vyasadeva himself was a disciple of Naraji, and therefore it was natural to be anxious to hear what Narada did after the initiation from the spiritual masters. He wanted to follow in Narada's footsteps in order to attain to the same perfect stage of life. This desire to inquire from the spiritual master is an essential factor to the progressive path. This process is technically known as Sadharma Pracha. Krishna also says, Tadvidi Pranipatena Pariprashnana Seva, inquiry. One should inquire submissively to the spiritual master. Text 3. O son of Brahma, how did you pass your life after initiation, and how did you attain this body, having quit your old one in due course? Sri Narada Muni in his previous life was just an ordinary maidservant's son. So how he became so perfectly transformed into the spiritual body of eternal life, bliss and knowledge is certainly important. Sri Vyasadeva desired him to disclose the facts for everyone's satisfaction. Text 4. O great sage, time annihilates everyone in due course. So how is it that this subject matter which happened prior to this day of Brahma is still fresh in memory, undisturbed by time? So this was Narada Muni's actually previous life, but still he was able to remember all the details. So Vyasadeva is amused that how it could happen and how everything was so fresh. The subject matter was so fresh in his mind, in his memory. So Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, as spirit is not annihilated even after annihilation of the material body, so also spiritual consciousness is not annihilated. Sri Narada developed his spiritual consciousness even when he had this material body in the previous kalpa. Consciousness of the material body means spiritual consciousness expressed through the medium of a material body. This consciousness is inferior, destructible and perverted, but super consciousness of the supra mind in the spiritual plane is as good as the spirit soul and is never annihilated. Text 5. Sri Narada said, the great sages who had imparted scientific knowledge of transcendence to me departed for other places, and I had to pass my life in this way. In his previous life, when Naraji was impregnated with spiritual knowledge by the grace of great sages, there was a tangible change in his life, although he was only a boy of 5 years. This is an important symptom visible after initiation by the bona fide spiritual master. Actual association of devotees brings a quick change in life for spiritual realization. How it is so acted upon the previous life of Narada Muni is described by in this chapter. I mean, the same thing also happened when Srila Prabhupada came here to the West, and just by association, all the people who were at the time hippies, they all became pure Vaishnavas. So all that happened. All the tangible changes that happened, as we saw in our ISKCON movement, was because of the association of Srila Prabhupada, and how very quickly they were able to give up all the sinful activities and take up to the regulative principles of devotion and engaging in the service of the Lord. They gave up meat eating, illicit sex, drinking, and all these different things. It's just a matter of a very short time, actually. Even so, here Srila Prabhupada says, actual association of devotees bring about a quick change in life for spiritual realization. Actually, that's so true. We favorably associate with pure devotees. It will bring a very good, quick change in our life and elevate us spiritually, and we will also make rapid advancement. Text 6. I was the only son of my mother, who was not only a simple woman but a maidservant as well. Since I was her only offspring, she had no other alternative for protection. She bound me with a tie of affection. Text 7. She wanted to look after my maintenance properly, but because she was not independent, she was not able to do anything for me. The world is under the full control of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, everyone is like a wooden doll in the hands of a puppet master. Yeah. Even for our, in terms of protection, maintenance, or whatever, naturally that comes to us because, for our dependence, generally happens only because there is sanction from the Supreme Lord. It doesn't happen it doesn't happen automatically. So here you can see that even though his mother wanted to take care of him fully, she was not able to do much for him because, that's just the way it was. And Narada Muni says, everyone is like a wooden doll in the hands of a puppet master. Text 8. When I was a mere child of 5 years, I lived in a Brahmana school. I was dependent on my mother's affection and had no experience of different lands. As a small child, he was actually dependent completely on his mother for survival and for affection and for support and everything. Text 9. Once upon a time, my poor mother, when going out one night to milk a cow, was bitten on the leg by a serpent, influenced by the supreme time. Purport. That is a way of dragging a sincere soul nearer to God. The poor boy was being looked after only by his affectionate mother, and yet the mother was taken from the world by the supreme will in order to put him completely at the mercy of the Lord. Sometimes Krishna does put his devotees in weird circumstances or situation, but that is just to bring out the complete dependence of the devotee onto the Supreme Lord. So here, Krishna took his last support, almost the only support Narada Muni had in his life. So Krishna took, by the will of the providence, the mother also passed away. Now he had nobody but to take shelter of the Supreme Lord. So, text 10. I took this as a special mercy of the Lord, who always desires benediction for his devotees, and so thinking, I started for the north. You can see how Narada Muni was able to even though it was a reversal, he was distressful condition, but he was able to convert that into a opportunity to actually become closer to the Lord, opportunity to become more dependent on the Supreme Lord. Purport: confidential devotees of the Lord see in every step a benedictory direction of the Lord. What is considered to be an odd or difficult moment in the mundane sense is accepted as a special mercy of the Lord. Mundane prosperity is a kind of material fever, and by the grace of the Lord, the temperature of this material fever is gradually diminished, and spiritual health is obtained step by step. Mundane people misunderstand it. So one has to have some level of purity and some level of faith to actually see even reversals actually as a blessing. So here Narada Muni, because of his association with the Vedantas before, he was able to actually see that his reversal as a special mercy of the Lord to actually attain perfection and devotional service. He was able to take it positively like that. And that's because of faith actually. If one doesn't have some faith, and that is why the association of devotees is also important actually. So that whenever things like this happen in our lives, then we can actually take the guidance from the devotees and practically apply that in our lives, so that we can actually get closer to the Lord instead of cursing or losing faith in Him. So we have to use every situation in our life as a means to get closer to the Lord, whether it's a situation that's happy situation or it's reversal. So every situation is actually used by the devotee to get closer to the Supreme Lord. Any comments or questions? Text 11. After my departure, I passed through many flourishing metropolises, towns, villages, animal farms, mines, agricultural lands, valleys, flower gardens, nursery gardens, and natural forest. Can somebody read the purport actually?
Man's activities in agriculture, mining, farming, industries, gardening, etc. were all on the same scale as they are now. Even previous to the present creation, and the same activities will remain as they are, even in the next creation. After many hundreds of millions of years, one creation is started by the law of nature, and the history of the universe repeats itself particularly in the same way. The mundane wranglers waste time with archaeological excavations without searching into the vital necessities of life. After getting an impetus in spiritual life, Sri Narada Muni, even though a mere child, did not waste time for a single moment with economic development, although he passed towns and villages, mines and industries. He continually went on to progressive spiritual emancipation. Srimad Bhagavatam is the repetition of history which happened some hundreds of millions of years ago. As it is said herein, only the most important factors of history are picked up to be recorded in this transcendental literature.
Right. Thank you, Mataji. Text 12. I passed through hills and mountains full of reservoirs of various minerals like gold, silver and copper, and through the tracts of land with reservoirs of water filled with a beautiful lotus flower fit for the denizens of heaven, decorated with bewildered bees and singing birds. Text 13. I then passed alone through many forests of rushes, bamboo, reeds, sharp grass, weeds and caves which were very difficult to go through alone. I visited deep, dark and dangerously fearful forests which were the play yards of snake, owls and jackals. Purport. It is the duty of a mendicant Parivrajaka Acharya to experience all varieties of God's creation by traveling alone through all forest, hills, towns, village, etc., to gain faith in God and strength of mind, as well as to enlighten the inhabitants with the message of God. That's a very interesting point, right? To gain faith in God and strength of mind. A sannyasi is duty bound to take all these risks without fear. And the most typical sannyasi of the present age is Lord Chaitanya, who traveled in the same manner through the central Indian jungles, enlightening even the tigers, bears, snakes, deers, elephants, and many other jungle animals. In this age of Kali, sannyasa is forbidden for ordinary men. One who changes his dress to make propaganda is a different man from the original ideal sannyasi. One should, however, take the vow to stop social intercourse completely and devote life exclusively to the service of the Lord. The change of dress is only a formality. Lord Chaitanya did not accept the name of a sannyasi, and in this age of Kali, the so-called sannyasis should not change their former names following the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya. In this age, devotional service of hearing and repeating the holy glories of the Lord is strongly recommended, and one who takes the vow of renunciation of family life need not imitate the Parivrajaka Acharya like Lord Narada or Lord Chaitanya, but may sit down at the holy place and devote his time, energy to hear and repeatedly chant the holy scriptures left by the great Acharyas and the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. Text 14. Thus traveling, I felt tired, both bodily and mentally, and I was both thirsty and hungry. So I took a bath in a river lake and also drank water. By contacting water, I got relief from my exhaustion. A traveling mendicant purport. A traveling mendicant can meet the needs of the body, namely thirst and hunger, by the gifts of nature without being a beggar at the doors of householders. The mendicant therefore does not go to the house of a householder to beg, but to enlighten them spiritually. Text 15. After that, under the shadow of a banyan tree in an uninhabited forest, I began to meditate upon the super soul situated within, using my intelligence as I learned from the liberated souls. Purport. One should not meditate according to one's personal whims. One should know perfectly well from the authoritative sources of scriptures that the transparent medium of a bona fide spiritual master, and by proper use of one's trained intelligence for meditating upon the super soul dwelling within every living being. This consciousness is firmly developed by a devotee who has rendered loving service unto the Lord by carrying out the orders of the spiritual master. Sri Naraji contacted bona fide spiritual masters, served them sincerely, and got enlightenment rightly. Thus he began to meditate. Nice points, right? And Prabhupada says that one cannot meditate according to one's personal whims. And right, so he was basically following the instruction that he got from the Bhaktivedantas as to how he can meditate on this super soul. Later he does the same thing to Dhruva Maharaj. Narada Muni actually gives this information to Dhruva Maharaj as to how he can see Vishnu. So first he sees Vishnu within the heart, and then he sees him outside. Text 16. As soon as I began to meditate upon the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead with my mind transformed in transcendental love, tears rolled down my eyes, and without delay the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna appeared on the lotus of my heart. It's amazing, right? Yeah, so Krishna also, even though the later part of the story will tell us that Narada Muni actually, Krishna again disappears. Even though he gives us darshan momentarily, he again disappears. And for us also, Krishna may give some sample or some token of some nice experience in Krishna consciousness. Sometimes we may also experience, when we are chanting, or suddenly we may experience, some nice, the presence of the Lord actually, while chanting or while serving the devotees or while singing in a kirtan or chanting before the deities. At some point we would have experienced some, different, what is that? Some glimpse, right. That is the way Krishna actually encourages us to actually follow on the path of Krishna consciousness. One of my devotee friends was telling that initially it's all free. The experiences that we get in Krishna consciousness, it's all free, and that is just to increase our enthusiasm, increase our interest in Krishna consciousness and to follow the path, spiritual path. But after that, once you get used to it, then you have to pay the price.
It's like a chocolate salad.
Right. And the same way, many things, especially, that is one good example. Another example, that's how actually the drug dealers actually hook a person and, they just give them as a free sample. Don't worry about it, just, enjoy. And then they give them, and then once they get hooked into it, then they will have to, it's not free anymore. They will have to pay the price.
But Prabhuji, we also do that with our prasadam. Because once you get used to a prasadam, service is automatic. And then you fall in the path.
Right. In fact, devotees are more attached to prasadam, but because that is the only sense gratification that is kind of available. So, there is, some, which is good actually, attachment is prasadam is good.
Prabhuji, I had a question. When we do some service for Krishna, initially we don't have that purity of heart. I may cook something for Krishna, but then the thought that I'm doing, it's usually because, I feel like eating that halwa today. So, anyway, default I'm making it. Then some days we really want to make it for Krishna. Then you realize that there's really no attraction to the food. You're doing it out of love. You know that it's being made with the mode of goodness, but there's no desire to actually consume that food. Then other days you're starting off with the intention of consuming that food. And then as a process, we offer it to Krishna because we want Krishna to taste it first. When we work with that mentality, do you have like a trick or a concept that you use to keep your mind, sense gratification always comes first for us. We learn to let go. Do you have a technique that, that can help us to do that?
Well, it's in the initial stages, it is expected that we, we do things, sometimes. That's why Krishna says it's not unalloyed devotion, but it's still, it's karma mishra bhakti actually. So, but that is expected. There is no shortcut that we will get pure devotion overnight, but it's a gradual process. So even though it's a karma mishra bhakti, but Krishna still accepts it, and that's why that verse is there actually in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Yad karoshi yad ajnashi yad juhosi tadasi yad tapasyasi kaunte yad tad kurushva madarpanam. Because even in the temple, there may be many services, and we may like one particular service actually. So we may be attached to the results of our activities. We may be attached to the fruits of the activities. We may be attached to the activity itself. So Krishna says, that's fine. Just at least you offer, the results to me first. At least as a, even if the transformation is not, the complete transformation is not in the heart, at least in the activity. The external activity should be there. So fake it until, Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj used to say, fake it until you make it. So,
it might be mechanical, but
right.
Keep doing it. So,
Right.
Yeah, it's basically, the devotion service starts like that. It has been even said in Srimad Bhagavad Gita that how can you understand Bhagavad Gita without your purity, right? The person who can understand Bhagavad Gita is only who is free from all the sins. But that's actually other way. How do you purify? If you read Bhagavad Gita, then it will purify. The same way with Srimad Bhagavatam. So it's like that. Of course, we have this conditioning life, millions of years, and it cannot be just like that purified in a day.
Right.
So do it mechanically. Keep doing it. At least one day, if we have that sincerity, then Krishna will help us to purify that.
Right.
So it's our sincerity and determination. So Krishna looks at the sincerity and endeavor for it. So at least one day you'll get it.
Right. Right. Yeah, ultimately, when one grows in Krishna consciousness or devotional service, then he becomes detached even from the activities. So, according to one's nature, one may be inclined to do a particular kind of activity, but a Vaishnava is beyond even such inclinations because he just does what's needful and what is directly dictated by Lord Krishna to him. Like, in initial stages, Prabhupada used to do everything. When he used to cook, he used to clean, and he used to serve all the people who would actually come to his classes, like that. And and many devotees actually, like Jayananda Prabhu, he used to just, they used to just do any kind of service, whatever was required actually. If it was preaching, or it was removing the garbage, or it was so a devotee transcends those inclinations and does what pleases Krishna and what pleases Guru and Krishna, like that. That's why in a few places in the Bhagavad Gita as well, Prabhupada would say that Vaishnava is above the Varnashram Dharma because he can fit into any of those categories of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, depending on the need and the order of his Guru.
So basically, because he has no ego, he doesn't look at the job
as
a representation.
It's a purified, the purified heart actually. Because the Jivatma can actually, do any of those. It's transcendental actually to the Varnashram system. So in devotional service, anything is a service to the Lord. So he does whatever is required or necessary. So purport. The word bhava is significant here. This bhava stage is attained after one has transcendental affection for the Lord. The first initial stage is called Shraddha, or liking for the Supreme Lord, and in order to increase that liking, one has to associate with the pure devotees of the Lord. The third stage is to practice the prescribed rules and regulations, which is Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya. This will dissipate all sorts of misgivings and remove all personal deficiencies that hamper progress in devotional service. This is Anartha Nivritti. When all misgivings and personal deficiencies are removed, there is a standard faith in the transcendental matter. That's Nishtha, and the taste for it increases in greater proportion. This stage leads to attraction, asakti, and after that there is bhava, or prayer stage of unalloyed love for God. All the above different stages are but different stages of development of transcendental love. Being so surcharged with transcendental love, there comes a strong feeling of separation which leads to 8 different kinds of ecstasies. Tears from the eyes of a devotee is an automatic reaction because Sri Narada Muni in his previous birth attained that stage very quickly after his departure from home. It was quite possible for him to perceive the actual presence of the Lord, which he tangibly experienced by the developed spiritual senses without material tinge. It's unbelievable, right? He was just within just a short amount of time, he was actually able to perceive the actual presence of the Lord within the heart and tangibly experienced. And one of the symptoms is, tears actually come forth from the eyes of a devotee is an automatic reaction. It's not. Yeah.
when I read this, when I understand this purports and compare with the... I'm not comparing, of course, I'm nothing to compare here. The Dhruva was able to see Vishnu in 6 months.
Right.
So I was thinking, oh my God, we are taking lifetimes, but Dhruva was able to see Krishna in 6 months. But he did a lot of austerity, for that.
Right.
But if you really see, compared to the Narada Muni, what he did is just association of Bhagavatams, right? And then hear from them, eat the prasadam from them. That's very simple.
Right.
That itself will gave the ruchi and asakti to see Krishna. So I felt, see the austerity. Of course, penance is also internal potency of the Lord, but still, association is more powerful than doing our own austerity ourselves.
Yeah, that is true.
But we read that Narada Muni was one of those recipients of bhava because the Lord willed it for him. He blessed him. And that's how Narada received bhava. So in a way, though the process is simple, Narada was also blessed as an entity.
Yeah, Narada was, all these factors together. He meeting the Bhakti Vedantas and serving them and then associating with them, hearing from them. So all these things also, he really progressed in his spiritual life actually. He made very quick advancement with association of devotees and serving them actually, which automatically will please the Lord, and the Lord will bestow His mercy completely, so that he can attain the perfection. It is our time now. Text 17. O Vyasadeva, at the time being exceedingly overpowered by feelings of happiness, every part of my body became separately enlivened. Being absorbed in an ocean of ecstasy, I could not see both myself and the Lord. Purport. Spiritual feeling of happiness and intense ecstasy have no mundane comparison. Therefore, it is very difficult to give expression to such feelings. We can just have a glimpse of such ecstasy in the words of Narada Muni. Each and every part of his body or senses has its particular function. After seeing the Lord, all the senses became fully awakened to render service unto the Lord. Because in the liberated state, the senses are fully efficient in serving the Lord. As such, in that transcendental ecstasy, it so happened that the senses became separately enlivened to serve the Lord. This being so, Narada Muni lost himself in seeing both himself and the Lord simultaneously. Very interesting. Yeah, when we come under the shelter of Yogamaya, then automatically we are, we are propelled to actually serve Krishna. So, we are impelled to actually serve Krishna. As much as Mahamaya, she covers us and makes us forget Krishna, Yogamaya actually inspires us to serve Krishna. That's why Krishna also says, Mahatmanastu mam partha daivim prakritim ashritaha. So the Mahatmas are actually under the protection of Daivim Prakriti, Srimati Radharani actually. So
this Haladni Shakti that we read, right, when we read the Nectar of Devotion, is it the same thing as you are explaining? It's a potency of Yogamaya that filters into the devotee's heart.
Right.
Right? With the samvit and then... Okay.
Yes. Anyway, so we will have to stop now actually. We are just... this is in the 6th chapter of the Bhagavatam, so you can actually... So I'll just read this verse and then end, and then we'll have to attend the Aarti. The transcendental form of the Lord as it is satisfies the mind desire and at once erases all mental incongruities. Upon losing that form, I suddenly got up being perturbed, as is usual when one loses that which is desirable. So the Lord appeared within his heart, and just a moment later he actually disappeared. And Narada Muni will explain, later why that is the case and how the Lord actually, tells him, because he would be so anxiety-ridden that why the Lord disappeared. The Lord would tell him, you're not qualified to see me right now because you're not completely purified. So please continue your meditation and your practices so that you can be completely purified, and your next life you will be qualified to see me directly. So it's a beautiful section of the chapter, but we will have to stop now to attend the Aarti. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Hare Krishna. Jiva Jayo Jayo Gora Chande Arati Kashobhai. Janavi Tatavane Jagamanalo Bhajanavi Tata Jagajanamana Lobha Jagajanamana Lobha Gaurange Aratika Shobha Jagajanamana Lobha Gaurange Aratika Shobha Jagajanamana Lobha Gaurange Aratika Shobha Jagajanamana Lobha Gaurange Nitai Gora Haribol 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 Nitai Gora Haribol Dakhine Metai Chan Bame Gadadharadi Nikate Advaita Shirni Vasa Chhatradharani Bosi Ache Gorachan Ratna Shimashane Jai Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Arati Korena Brahma Adi Devagane Nara Hari Adi Kore Chamaradulaya Sanjaya Mukunda Vasu Gosha Adigaya Jai Gaurang Mahaprabhu. Sanjaya Mukunda Vasu Gosha Adigaya Shanka baje ghanta baje baje karatala Madhura mridanga baje paramarasala Madhura Madhur 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 baje Madhur 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 baje Shanka baje ghanta baje Madhur 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 baje Bahu koti chandrajini vadana ujala Gala deshe vanamala kore jalmala Shiva Shukanarada Preme Gadagada Thaku Bhakati Vinoda Dekhe Gaura Rasampada Je bajayo jayo gora chande arati kashobha Jai Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Janavi tatavane jagamanalobha Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamine Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Namaste Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Chaitanya Prabhu Anda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Jayo Jayo Shri Chaitanya Jayo Nityananda Jayo Jayo Shri Chaitanya Jayo Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hari Haraya Namah Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Hari Haraya Namah Krishna Yadavaya Namaha यादवाय माधवाय केशवाय नमः यादवाय माधवाय केशवाय नमः गोपाल गोविंद राम श्री मधुसूदन बोलो गोपाल गोविंद राम श्री मधुसूदन गिरिधारी गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन गिरिधारी गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन श्री चैतन्य नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत सीता जय गौरमरम प्रभु श्री चैतन्य नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत सीता हरि गुरु वैष्णव भगवत गीता हरि गुरु वैष्णव भगवत गीता श्री रूपा श्री सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री रूपा श्री सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्ट दास रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्ट दास रघुनाथ हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण सॉरी हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 निताय गौरांगा निताय गौरांगा निताय गौरांगा निताय गौरांगा निताय गौरांगा गौरा हरे निताय गौरांगा गौरा हरे जय सच्चिनंदन जय सच्चिनंदन जय सच्चिनंदन जय सच्चिनंदन जय सच्चिनंदन गौरा हरे जय सच्चिनंदन गौरा हरे Nadiya Vihari Shri Gaura Hare. Nadiya Vihari Shri Gaura Hare. Gaura 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 Hare. Gaura 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 Hare. Gaura 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 Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Jayo Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radhe. Jayo Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radhe. Jayo Radha Jaya Mahaprabhu Jaya Mahaprabhu Jaya Mahaprabhu Jaya Mahaprabhu Jaya. Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Ananta Dev Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Ananta Dev. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajakarachar Ashtotara Shat Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajakarachar Ashtotara Sat Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anant Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Sham Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Navdeep Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Kshetra Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai. ISV Mayapur Yatra Ki Jai. ISV Festivals of 2014 Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Namaste Narasimhaya. प्रह्लादलादायिने हिरण्याकाशी पूर्वक्षः हिरण्याकाशी पूर्वक्षः शीलाटङ्कानकालाये शीलाटङ्कानकालाये इतो नरसिंह परतो नरसिंह इतो नरसिंह परतो नरसिंह यतो यतो यामि ततो नरसिंह यतो यतो यामि ततो नरसिंह बहिर्नरसिंह हृदये नरसिंह बहिर्नरसिंह हृदये नरसिंह नरसिंहमदीं शरणं प्रपद्ये नरसिंहमदीं शरणं प्रपद्ये तव करकमलवरीनाथम् अद्भुतशृङ्गाम् दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गा केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गा तव करकमलवरीनाथम् अद्भुतशृङ्गाम् दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गा केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे तव कर कमल हरे ना का केशवद्रीता नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय 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 भक्त प्रहलाद 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 जय प्रभुपादा 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 जय गुरुदेवा 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 नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल लक्ष्मी नरसिंह देव की जय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल
I'd like to welcome all of you. I'm filling this role in place of Vrindavan Priya Prabhu. So let's give a big Hare Krishna Mahamantra chanting for everyone who is coming for tonight. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Anybody who is visiting us first time in the temple? So all our regular comers. Okay, we'd like to thank Sundarananda Prabhu, who just left, for a wonderful class today. And Narsingha Devarti by Sukeshwari Mataji. We want to, so before we go into the Prashad prayers, quick announcements for this Friday. As you know, there is a drought the worst drought in the last 100 years in California's history, where governor has called out saying that this is the whole California is affected by that, and then it is said in Bhagavad Gita 3rd chapter that when people do yagna or sacrifices, then the rain god gets pleased and we get rain. And we follow the same principle of what Krishna said. And devotees as ISV wanted to end the drought at California, and they have decided to chant the holy names of the Lord in the streets. And many devotees are practicing their rounds, and then they are doing extra rounds for doing extra chanting for removing the drought. And one of the steps which we are doing is we are meeting this Friday on the streets of Palo Alto, and starting at 6:59 p.m., correct? Yeah, and then we will try to chant. It is said that when many people chant, that's called Sankirtana. And when many people do, the effects are large. So we hope that we can do our part of coming there. Be there with large number. Tell your friends. In fact, Mataji sent out, Vishaka Leela sent a mail, and then I sent it to Jerry Brown as well as Mayor of Mountain View of our intentions of Paropkar. That this is the largest Paropkar, where we are not looking for, it's again the wish of Krishna. If there is a drought, be it so. But as he has said in Bhagavad Gita, we are just trying to follow that. And please come, please tell your friends, tell your friends and others that we are trying to spread the goodwill. We are ambassadors of goodwill. And it is said that if many people chant together with pure heart, then rain will definitely come. Yes, Prabhuji. Yes. That's awesome, yeah. So give a large Haribol. It's already happening, correct? But we need more, right? We want the real rain by which the water supplies are enriched, as is the typical process. So please be there. Typically, you know, some of the devotees are already there in India because of the Mayapur Yatra. So all those of you who are here, at least we have to show our consolidation and then, you know, participate in this Yuga Dharma. So please come there. Any other announcements, Prabhus? Who are the cooks? Avantika Mataji?
Haribol. So today the cooks were Bhakta Vatsal Prabhu and Partha Sarthi Prabhu. Okay, but I need to see. No, it's not enough. Just wait for it. Sharira vidya ja jodendriya tahe ka jive fele vishaya sagore taram jivayati Lobho moy sudurmati Take jeta katina samsare Krishna bodha doyamo Kori bare jiva jai Swaprasad dilo bhai Sheyanamrita pao Radha Krishna guna gao Preme lako Shri Chaitanya Nitai Preme rako Shri Chaitanya Nitai Mahaprasade Govinde Namo Brahmani Vaishnave Svalva Punyavatam Rajan Vishvaso Naiva Jayate Prasade Sarva Dukhanam Nirasyandayate Prashana Cheta Soyasu Buddhi Paryavatishtete Srimad Bhagavad Prasad Mahaprasad ki Gaura Premanande